You know, when you picture a historical reenactment, you might just think of a bunch of people in a field playing soldier. But honestly, it's usually something way deeper, a really meticulous, passionate, and sometimes surprisingly modern attempt to actually touch the past. So, what does a day on the front lines of a World War II reenactment really look like? Let's dive in and find out.
But forget the boom of cannons, just for a second. The day doesn't kick off with some big battle plan. Nope, it starts with a simple human ritual. Because it turns out, even a German invasion in 1940 ran on caffeine.
So, here we are, Fort d'Aubin-Neufchâteau in Belgium. The whole scenario for today's event is the German invasion from May 1940. And this isn't just some random field, okay? This is a real historical site where these very events actually happened. Which, wow, it just adds this incredible layer of authenticity to everything.
Before the public starts rolling in, the whole atmosphere is super relaxed, almost like a historical campsite. The reenactors are all just chatting, drinking that super important coffee, and, dealing with normal problems. Like one guy was hilariously struggling to get his boots on, joking that his tight footwear made them blitz slippers. It's just a perfect little glimpse into the community that exists behind all the uniforms.
The scene is kinda surreal. You've got these meticulously arranged tents sitting right next to an original 1936 German searchlight that, and get this, it still works. The view from on top of the fortress is just breathtaking, and you're literally walking on history. Someone even found an old practice grenade detonator just sitting there on the ground.
Okay, but beyond the cool campsite stuff, this is where the real passion of this hobby just shines through. It's all about what they call the impression, the recreation of a historical person right down to the tiniest detail. And we're going to start with the gear of your typical enlisted man.
And the level of detail is just incredible. For May 1940, it's not just any German uniform, it has to be the M36. The helmet is the M35 model. And even the bread bag has to be the early version with all the leather details, a feature that would totally vanish later in the war as resources got scarce. And that gas mask canister? Yeah, just like the real soldiers, a lot of reenactors use it to store their personal stuff instead of the actual mask.
This, right here, this is exactly what we're talking about. The number of decals on the helmet isn't some random choice. It literally pins the whole impression to a specific period. By later in 1940, the regulations changed to improve camouflage, and one of those decals was ordered to be removed. Getting that right is absolutely fundamental for an accurate portrayal.
And here's another one of those tiny details that has huge significance: the piping. I mean, this colored trim looks like it's just for decoration, but it's actually a code. The white piping you see here on the shoulder boards, that instantly tells you this soldier belongs to the infantry. Different colors meant different branches, like artillery or pioneer.
And of course, not all uniforms were created equal. You can see the clear hierarchy when you compare the standard issue kit of an enlisted guy with an officer's uniform. The officer's is made of this special, thinner wool. He's got a different pebbled belt buckle, carries a pistol instead of a submachine gun, and wears these taller and more impressive boots. His medals might even show he served all the way back in the First World War.
But for all this historical precision, you just can't escape the 21st century. And that, my friends, is where things get really interesting and honestly pretty funny. This is the part of the day where the 1940s impression just smacks right into modern reality.
So what does that even look like? What happens when a meticulously planned World War II invasion has to deal with everyday, modern problems?
Well, when faced with a very modern problem, one reenactor jokes that the Blitzkrieg, Germany's lightning war strategy, is a little delayed, and they won't be making it to Paris today. It just shows the good humor that's so essential when your historical immersion gets a little interrupted.
So what were those interruptions? Well, first, a motorcycle gets a flat tire. Then another one starts having engine trouble. And pretty soon, you've got soldiers in full 1940s German uniforms standing in a line for French fries and a Coke. And to top it all off, the guy filming all this gets recognized by the food vendor from his YouTube channel. Yeah, the 21st century always finds a way in.
But despite all these modern interruptions, this is a deeply serious hobby. And with that kind of passion comes standards, rules, and sometimes some pretty fierce disagreements over what is correct.
And that can lead to moments of real friction. For example, one group of reenactors gets told they aren't allowed to participate in the mock battle because another group decided the specific model of their pants is historically incorrect for the event. This just pulls back the curtain on a whole subculture of intense debate over accuracy.
But look, this isn't just people being difficult for no reason. It all comes from the shared, deep-seated passion for getting the history right. The reenactors who got called out, they were confident in their own research and totally stood by their impression. These debates are really a sign of just how seriously everyone takes their role in bringing the past back to life.
But as the reenactors pack up their gear, all the debates over pants and piping kind of fade away. They're replaced by the reality of the ground they're standing on. This isn't just a campsite, it's a battlefield. Back in May 1940, 2,000 German soldiers were killed taking this very fortress.
And in stark contrast, only 8 Belgian defenders lost their lives. The fort was just an incredibly strong position. And that brutal fact grounds the entire day. The coffee, the uniforms, the friendly debates, it grounds it all in the sobering truth of what they're all there to commemorate.
So it leaves us with a final question, doesn't it? After seeing the passion, the incredible detail, and the profound connection to the historical ground, is this dedication to living history, to actually walking in their boots and feeling the wool of their uniforms, is that the ultimate way to understand the past? Or is it something else entirely?